All right, and we are getting started here. I'm going to invite our friends from Facebook on here just to let them know that we are over here on YouTube this week. Okay, here we go. So, everyone, hello and welcome to another Monday Caregiver Check In. And if you are seeing me on Facebook, you need to go ahead. I put a link on there that shows where our YouTube channel is putting this. Hey, Christina, if you can go ahead and click the link for it to go over to our YouTube channel, I'm actually going to terminate this Facebook conversation because I have a guest over at our YouTube channel, and we've just had so many problems with getting guests on this for different things. And as soon as I said that, our guest actually dropped out of the YouTube channel too. It's so funny. She's come back. But if you can head over to our YouTube channel, we are going to be able to have a conversation with Elizabeth Sutherland. And we've just had so many problems with Facebook that I want to try to go over there. There's live chat over there and everything that we have over there. It's just maybe not as readily available as Facebook, but it's still a lot of fun. So we are going to get this going here. And I'm going to just go ahead real quick. I'm just typing to everyone to go ahead and comment when they have a question. All right, let's see here. So if you guys can go ahead and jump over to our YouTube channel. Everyone's kind of populating in here. And I am going to put that link up there again. Thank you so much, you guys, for joining us for another Caregiver Check-In. My name is Darren Fink. I'm one of the co-founders of Transfiguring Adoption. Transfiguring Adoption is a nonprofit which seeks to nurture and grow foster and adoptive families by giving a hoot about the caregivers so that they can better be equipped to help children walk through difficult issues. And I wanted everyone to let you know that we are not medical advice. We are not legal advice. We are not going against anything that your caregiver or your caseworker or anyone else might be telling you to do. We are here just to encourage you and to give you some support. We think that you should follow the professionals in your life. So all that to say, please don't sue us. We don't have any money. We're just trying to here to help. So, yeah. So as we're waiting for things to kind of populate here, I'm going to go ahead and tell everyone to go over there and to check things out one more time. Because we have an amazing guest speaker over at our YouTube channel. Her name is Elizabeth Sutherland. Hey, Shelby, glad that you could join us. We are actually sending everyone over to our YouTube channel where we have a guest speaker. Shelby was on here last week, actually, and we were having a lot of Facebook issues. And so our answer is to go over to YouTube. So we're sending everyone over there so everyone can actually talk with Liz with us. Right, and actually, guys, I am going to sign out of Facebook here, and I'm going to end this, and we're just going to keep going with YouTube here. So hope to see everyone over at our YouTube channel. Message Transfiguring Adoption if you're having issues, and I will try to help you get onto our YouTube channel as best as I can. But you should be able to follow that link, and you should be able to hit the play and just watch what's going on. There is a chat capability, so you'll be able to ask your questions on there also. So cheerio, Facebook. We'll see you over at YouTube. All right. Anyways, let's get this party started then. Hey, Liz, how you doing?
Or to neither.
Are you there?
Can you hear me okay?
I can. Fantastic. Looks like Christina has joined us. It looks like. Hey, glad you're here, Christina. Yeah, YouTube does work pretty much the same. So it's just nice because as long as our internet holds up here, it's been way easier to get Liz into the chat room area. And it's just so much nicer too, because actually, if we have something where I have several professionals that you guys want to talk to, I can actually have, I think, up to 5 other people in here with me. So we can have lots of people and have a great group discussion. Not only with all of you guys watching, but with some video participants too. So, anyways, we're waiting for this to kind of populate and for people to get in here. Um, I'm going to go ahead and just ask everyone, what do you guys celebrate Cinco de Mayo? Does anyone celebrate Cinco de Mayo? Or are you a Star Wars fan and did you do something for May 4th, for May the 4th be with you? What did you do for that? I want to hear if you guys would comment. That would be fantastic. What about you, Liz? Do you do anything for Cinco de Mayo?
Normally I do. This past low key and made some tacos and stuff at home and watched the Cubs game. So that was my Cinco de Mayo.
Wow, I have not heard. See, so we used to live in Illinois and now we've moved down to Florida. So I have not heard anyone say that they watched the Cubs game in quite a long while. So you're a first for me for a while. That's awesome.
Hey, go Cubs. Hey, you're welcome.
Are you a loyal fan even though like before the series, before they won the series, were you loyal?
Not to, I wouldn't say I was loyal. I think I became a loyal fan a couple of years ago. And so, you know, they started out pretty rough this season, but they are.
Oh, you broke up a little bit on us. Hopefully it won't last throughout the whole thing here. All right, well, we have Liz with us today. And Liz, can you kind of tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about the book that you've written?
Yeah. So hello, everyone. My name is Liz Sutherland, and I am currently in Newport Richey, Florida. I actually was born in Spain. I was about 5 years old in Waynesville, North Carolina. And so I'm not a transplant of Florida, but I've been here going on 10 years now. And out of foster care and figure out who I am really. It's a short read, but it's very interesting because it displays some hardships, some kudos. You know, one of the mottos that I always like to leave with is you never know who you're going to meet. I've never met a stranger, and so if you pick up the book and read it, then you will understand why strangers are a very important piece of my life.
And can you kind of cut out there for a little bit? Can you kind of tell us again what the name of the book was?
Did that come through okay?
No, can you tell us the name of the book real quick?
No Ordinary Liz.
No Ordinary Liz. And how long has that book been in the making? I mean, it's a lifetime, right?
I'm sorry?
It's been a lifetime of you doing this, right? Of
yes.
You trying to get this together and get this going?
Yes, it took me, I mean, I've always wanted to write a book, and it just took me a little while just where I met a publisher and scheduled some time to sit down one-on-one. We ended up doing a whiteboard visualization, and they actually stayed with months. I had a first draft manuscript written, and so I had to give up a lot of weekends to get the book done, but it was worth it.
So tell us, why did you decide that you wanted to write a book? Oh, I think we might have lost you again, Liz. Hello, are you there? Well, we're trying to Liz back. So Liz has written a book, and when we met Liz, we found out that she was a former foster youth, and she has just better than anyone else, just knows some great personal trials and struggles with going through that. Oh, are you there? Pop back in. Let's see if you're there. All right. So, anyways, as we're waiting for Liz to come back on, one thing that we wanted to talk about was just the issue of kiddos aging out of the foster care system, because that's been a huge issue just with different things going on. The statistics on that are just phenomenal with kids aging out of the system. I'm just curious if anyone else, do you guys have any other thoughts, or do you have know of any of the statistics for kids aging out of the system? All right. So let's take a look here. Let's see here. I'm going to try to get Liz back on here, folks. Sorry about all this. Okay, I'm trying to catch her back in here. Let's see here. Let's see if I can get her back in here. Up, are you there? Up, there we go.
Oh, I keep losing you guys.
That's unfortunate. So, Liz, what made you want to start writing a book?
I wanted to share my story. I wanted to have the be able to share my story with others and hope that it touches and inspires them to be able to not only share their story, but, hopefully inspire themselves to go live the life that they deserve.
Absolutely. So, what was it? Can I get a little personal? What was it? I know you've described stories to Margie and I about what it was like aging out of the
Mhm.
system and what that looked like. Can you describe a little bit to us, like what was that like for you? I guess as a child going through that, what was it like?
Sure. So I'll kind of just paint a picture for you. So when I was 5 years old, I came to the U.S. by a man who I thought was my father, and dropped my brother, sister, and I off in North with his mother. And he disappeared. So had no idea who he was, where he went, why did he drop us off. Just he just left. And so from the time that I was 5 to my grandmother, and turned out that she wasn't, but she was really abusive, and mentally and physically. And it was just, it was a pretty rough few years for me. And to say that, I don't really remember much of my childhood, maybe for the good, because I feel like if I do remember my childhood, it might bring up some unpleasing thoughts or actions, and so um, foster care at the age of 13. Um, at the time, I didn't know that, I guess I didn't know what foster care was, but I knew that it had to be the situation that I was currently in at the time. And so the moment that we went into foster care, they ended up splitting my sister and I from my brother. And that really took, because, not having family, they take the most important person from our lives that we needed. And then since then, you know, I was with my sister for at least a week. And from that time, then we ended up splitting up as well. And so for the next few years to follow, we all were split up, living our own lives. Didn't hardly know where each other was or communicate with each other, because I guess the further you move away from within the state, it's hard to. So life just happened as it did. And at 18, I ended up graduating from high school, and then ended up not only graduating from high school, but realized at foster care. And so I really didn't understand what that meant. But at 18, I ended up in a little apartment and started trying to figure the grays in life. And so I didn't even know what that meant, but I really relied heavily on my next door neighbors, anyone to kind of just feed me the fundamentals of what it's like to be an adult.
Huh. So now when you started to age out of the system, did did who did the I missed what it kind of cut out there. Were you in a foster home at that time before you aged out?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes, I
did
was in.
did anyone start preparing your foster parents for you aging out? Did anyone start preparing you for aging out? How did that work?
No, I mean, for the longest time, it was really a nerve from the time that I was 14 till I was 18. And just a few short weeks prior to being 18, they were looking to move me from the foster home. And so, because at the time I was in a therapeutic home. And so by the time that they realized what was going on, they knew that I didn't belong in that therapeutic home. So they were looking to move me. To say, no, don't leave me where I'm at, because one, I've built relationships with the students at school. I'm like 3 weeks shy from graduating high school.
Hmm.
I grew up with, or went to school with for those last 4 years, and and then on top of that, I'm getting ready to be 18, and so who kind of just talked to me briefly about what it was that was about to happen. But I didn't have a lot of preparation. So it was more so, where am I going to go when I was. And so I was just trying to figure out, where am I going to sleep the next day, and so not a lot of
So
preparation.
Shelby is asking a few questions here that I'll give you. Um, were you always in a foster home, or were you also in a group home?
So when I went into foster care, I was in a group home for a short while. And then I ended up going to foster homes. And then it went from foster home to a group home or to a respite home. So I was in a little bit of of both.
Everything.
Yes.
You had a
Yeah.
little sampling. It sounds like you had a smorgasbord of homes.
I mean, that was an opportunity. Well, I guess it wouldn't be an opportunity, but I was actually in a group home setting where school was actually in the group home. So it wasn't I didn't go to actual school. It was more like school on campus where the group home was. And that was for a short while too.
So, what was Shelby's also asking? What was your relationship like with your foster parents? Are you still with us? Looks like maybe we might have lost her again. Sorry, guys. I don't think her internet connection is uploading as well as it should be to be able to do this. Um, but one thing that we were amazed with when Margie and I talked with Liz when we first met her was just how she's been able to take these past moments of aging out and just the way that she's really talked to us about not being prepared and having to rely on other people and rely on other adults. And I think something that hit close to home with me was just realizing that she could be literally the girl next door. She could be someone down the street. She could be anyone. Um, and do we know if our neighbors need help, like she doesn't know how to pay bills maybe, or how, like, what this, that, or the other looks like. So um, her story really caught my attention as a foster father and an adoptive father, because it just really I just feel like not only am I looking at it as hey, I need to prepare them and help them to, and I don't have any children that are aging out. There probably was one point in time that I thought we were going to have a kiddo where we were looking at this, but it didn't come to that. So, but I've always wondered what, with Liz's story of not being prepared for aging out of the system, and really at the age of 18, were any of us really ready to hit the real world on our own without any help or any assistance or anything like that? And so that's why I feel like her story is so interesting. And then on the flip side, I feel like, as I'm talking, not even just to foster and adoptive parents, but just to those out in the public, um, do you and the public realize that there are kiddos out there that are aging out of the system, that they need our help? Um, Again, I go back to an example that I had a long time ago where I think there are some misconceptions about foster care, where I was at an event where we were had an information table for transfiguring adoption, and I was handing out some brochures. A little, I'll say maybe 7-year-old girl came up to me, and she took a brochure and she was kind of interested in what I had to say. Hey, Liz, did you make it back? She was kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Would you rather just dial in?
I think that might be best because I don't know what's going on. It keeps.
Okay. Yeah, let me get you that number. Sorry about this, guys. We thought we had this fixed, and then we're dialing in anyways. But yeah, I just sent you the number. So if you want to call that one, you can.
Okay.
All right. Did you get the number?
I did.
All right. I'll have to kick you out of here so we don't get feedback.
Okay, kick me out.
All right. Let's see here. You there?
I'm here.
Fantastic. Okay. So let's keep. No, you're fine. So the fantastic part, like I was filling in some time, was like I was saying, you guys, I think the one thing we don't think about, not even as from the child point of view or from the parent point of view, like we think a lot of things about foster care, we think a lot of things about adoption, but in the general public, do you guys think about, hey, maybe a child, it needs help with something, with aging out? I think there are some misconceptions that everyone thinks that the system has everything figured out and it's a well-oiled machine, and 18 hits and they talk about aging out children and they have a plan. But Liz, what's your experience with? Is there a plan for kids as they're aging out of the system?
I know that when I aged out, which was many years ago, society and foster care system is working on plans now, which I think is wonderful because these kids, they need help. It's the little things that blows my mind that I didn't even think about when I was 18, that, these kids need to survive. I know that when I graduated high school, it was June 4th, and then I turned 18 on June 9th. From that time, I didn't even have a chance to even think about, oh my gosh, I just graduated high school. Let me enjoy that experience. It was, oh my goodness, I'm an independent adult, and I was no longer in foster care, and I have just achieved a legal age, and there wasn't anything about me that was prepared to be an adult. But I was on my own, and I know for me, I had barely more than the clothes on my back. I had no furniture, no bed. I hardly had any friends, and really, I didn't have an adult to guide me. And so I know today there's things in place for kids where they can stay in this foster care system until they're 21, but there's stipulations to that, which I think is fantastic because part of that is encouraging kids to go to school and continue their education, and not have the worrisome of trying to figure out what they're going to eat or where they're going to lay their head at night. The only thing that I do know is kind of a big issue is, you know, we're running out of foster home placements for these kids. So once they've aged out and they're in these homes, some homes will continue to take them, and some will say, I don't have the capacity, or I'm looking for someone else. You know, so it's good to hear that there is something in place, but it's not 100% there.
Absolutely. So as looking back, I guess, what do you think, I guess, as a dad, like, and I just had, it seems less than a year ago, but it was probably about a year ago. I had some foster kiddos in my home, and I was just saying, we thought maybe we might be looking at a situation where we might have to help a kiddo age out. What do I need to be preparing them for? What do I need to be doing as a parent?
It's the basic. It's teaching them, you know, financial literacy. Like, how do you balance a checkbook? How do you create a budget? That was one of the biggest things for me. Is I saw a checkbook, but I had no idea how to even complete it, how to fill it out. And I know in this day and age, checkbooks are probably are being obsolete. But it's those simple things: financial literacy, and then and also encouraging them, you know, budget, encouraging them, you know, what is it like to live on your own? These are just the simple things that you need. Making sure that they have some clothing, making sure that they focus on school, and what does that entail? If they want to go to college, what does that look like? You know, helping them get that financial aid and helping them complete that. And then it comes with cars. I mean, you're 18. Some of these, I have a feeling that a majority of kids in foster care don't even get the luxury of being able to, you know, test drive a car and get a car. And for me, I didn't have credit. I mean, at 18, there's no way you have credit, but I needed a cosigner. And so I had no idea what that was, but I ended up talking to my hairdresser, and she ended up having faith in me and decided to co-sign for me so that I could get my first car. But it's just those simple things that, like, what would you need to survive, you know, and be able to do it on your own without anyone being able to provide that for you.
That's amazing. So what is the thing that you remember the most when you were out on your own? Like maybe the first moment, or just like, was it good or bad? What was the first thing that you remember when you were out on your own?
It was, oh my goodness, I have to do everything that I can to survive. And, you know, unfortunately for me, I learned it the hard way. I was depressed, and I felt so disconnected from the world. You know, I ended up falling in with the wrong crowd. My life just spun even further out of control. But then all of a sudden I got a job, and as I began to earn money and see that there was potential for a future, you know, I ended up creating my new family out of coworkers and friends. And from there, just being able to see that, okay, I got this. I enrolled and entered college, and you know, it was just baby steps, but heavily relying on people that I didn't know and trust in them that they're going to, you know, help guide me, was the most important thing that stood out. And since today, I always think about the little lady who helped me write a check for the first time. And I promise you, I have got that down pat. And believe it or not, every now and again, I'll still write a check, just because that's
That's awesome. That is
Yes.
so great. And maybe you don't want to talk about this. Again, just tell me you don't want to talk about it. But I know that when something that impacted me that you told us about was just how holidays affect you? Just with having aged out of the system, not really having a family, I guess, that you go. Do you have a family that you call your family that you go back to visit during
I
holidays and
do.
stuff?
I
Okay.
do, and it's an interesting story. And as I had mentioned earlier, I was separated from my brother and sister early on in foster care, and for 8 long years, I had no idea where my sister was, and for 13 years, I didn't know where my brother was. I'm going to give you a spoiler in the book, but I feel like it's important to let listeners know that, by some miracle of fate, I saw my sister again at a party on the very same college campus that I was at.
Really?
And yes, and so, and I know a lot of people are asking, how did you even know it was your sister? But I don't think you ever forget a face, no matter how many years go by. I just saw her, and it was just immediately, that's my sister.
Right.
And so, upon finding her, she ended up having found other family members, like other girls who were twin sisters, who ended up taking her in so that she wouldn't be on the streets. And by doing that, they gave her a home, a life, and provided for her. And so when I found her, the family instantly connected with me. And so they took me in and just kind of helped build that relationship with my sister and with them. And so to this day, it's been, several years now. I call them my family. And so that's where I go on the holidays.
Wow.
If I'm not here.
Fantastic. And so how did that help you when you found your sister again?
It gave me a sense of hope. And, throughout my whole life, I've always had faith, and I've always clung to hope, because I don't know, if I didn't have something like that to believe in, I don't think I would have turned out the way I did. I think about it from time to time. Like, I just ask people, just think about it for a minute, knowing that it's just you, like you're a dot in this world, and not having any connections or not having anyone. How would you even navigate that, right? And that was me. And I just, being disconnected with my siblings in foster care, I did move on with life, but it was excruciating because there was always a hole left in my heart, wondering, where are they? Are they alive? Are they doing okay? And so that night, when I saw my sister at that club, it kind of changed everything for me. And I was just so excited to know that, oh my goodness, she's alive. And to that point, several years later, I did end up finding my brother. And it was again, another miracle of fate that I found him. So I feel like while my life is, it's going well, I do feel complete knowing that we are connected. And I just recently found out that I have another brother that I have no idea where he's at. All I have is a photo that looks like he's about 11 years old.
Oh, wow.
So that's going to be my next journey, is trying to figure out who he is. Because he's probably out there, and he may not know that
you're there.
Maybe he does, but I'll never know. And I'm going to continue to find out who my parents are. I have stayed, I do know who my mother is. I've contacted her via phone. I've never seen her in person. And that's a hard place in my heart, because when I think about her, it kind of brings a lot of anger. So I don't know if I'll ever bring forth myself to want to have that initial meetup, because there's just some hard feelings there. But knowing that my siblings are found and they're safe has given me great hope. So.
Shelby, I don't think we answered this question earlier. I'm not even sure if, hopefully Shelby's still out here. What was your relationship like with your foster parents?
Oh, yes. So, I wouldn't say I had like the best relationships with foster parents, because I was moving in and out so rapidly in these homes that it was kind of hard building relationships. I just kind of looked at them as, okay, I'm here for a night. I always kept my bags packed. But I do recall, a couple of foster homes that I was in. The foster families would just lock themselves up in their bedrooms and really not have any relationships going on with the kids in the home. So it wasn't until my last foster home in North Carolina that I did have some relationship with. They were a pastor and pastor's wife. And so I did feel some connection there, but, I wouldn't say that I had the greatest experience in foster care. Just appreciate the people that open their homes to me.
That's awesome. Okay. Wow. Fantastic. So with writing, I know that last time I talked with you, it's been a while since we've talked in person. You had just this passion to be able to help kids as possibly they're aging out of the system. And I'm telling you that all the time when I'm like, I didn't have time to look at the current stats, but every time I hear stats of kids aging out of the system, I never hear anything good. Are those stats still relevant today? Like that we're looking at bleak stats for kids aging out of the system?
Yes, unfortunately it's growing rapidly, and it's really sad because I think these kids need the foundation. They need people. I think as society we need to come together and just try to hug these kids and try to figure out how we can help them, give them the foundation, the fundamentals they need to try to make it on their own. This is the start of their journey. And I think, and I don't even think, I believe why our juvenile justice system is so highly populated right now is because these kids don't have any other choice. And I always get so agitated when you hear people say negative things about these kids in foster care. And I'm like, if you just take a minute and just take a walk in their shoes. Some kids have been in foster care since they were a baby, and they are getting ready to age out. So it's just trying to give these kids a break and take the label. I am such a big advocate for, leave labels on, soup cans. Leave labels at the door. These kids have a name, and just because, they were in foster care is just a stepping stone for them. It's not who they are. And so the statistics are really high out there. And I just want to be a part of some type of solution to kind of help them, at least give them a chance. And so if I can just advocate for them, kind of help spread the word, help educate people on what foster care is, and help encourage people to share more good versus bad stories, because we need to hear more success stories out there. And I have a really hard passion of mine. I really want to try to start a no ordinary community where it's tiny homes that will be for kids who age out, that they will have somewhere to go to try to help navigate their life. So I'm really working on that, and I don't know, more to come.
On a side note, you need to talk to my wife, because she has a dream of as Transfiguring Adoption. You and I were talking about the t-shirts and stuff like that and dresses and stuff that we design. She has a dream that we don't outsource that, but that we are eventually able to make some sort of facility where that stuff can be assembled, and kids that are aging out that don't have jobs can be shown how to do it, and they have a job then. And they're able to help us to then work on educating the public on stuff like that. So we need to talk later.
Yes.
The lady that showed you how to use a checkbook. I mean, my goodness, how long does that take to show someone how to use a checkbook? And yet it meant the world to you. You said you still write a check. Like every once in a while.
Every time I write a check, or every time I look at that checkbook, I think of her. And it was just, I was desperate because, I needed to have that check written to pay my rent. And I had no idea what a money order was. I had no idea what all this other stuff was. And, you know, grace of a bank giving me that checkbook, I at least had that to figure out what to do. And so this lady just kind of, offered help. And I think as a society, that's what we need to do for these kids, is just give them help, because, they're already beating themselves up thinking that it's their fault that they're in the situation they're in. And I'm a firm believer that I feel like it's holding them back. I feel like they can't move forward because they blame themselves. And I realize I don't blame myself, because I was not asked to be abused. I was not asked to be, in the situation that I was in. And so when I came to terms with it and was like, okay, this is my life and I want to live it like everybody else, then I'm doing it, And so I think it's just trying to give these kids a chance and try to meet them where they're at.
Something that simple. That's something a lot of people can do. And I'm going back to thinking, my goodness, even as a foster dad, that's something easy that I can do to help a kid. And you don't even think about that. That's a major life lesson. But what about, I'm thinking about the folks that I have living next door to me, and they're wondering how can they help kids, or maybe they think that there's no way, because I think they're thinking in their heads oh my goodness, like what you're talking about, Liz, that, oh my goodness, all these issues are going to be coming at me and I can't deal with that and I can't do anything. But you're saying even just helping a child to learn to do simple, basic things.
Yes, it's not hard. Think about this number. 23,000 kids age out of the U.S. foster care system each year.
Wow.
23,000. So think about what happens to those 23,000 kids if they don't get help.
Exactly.
They're on the streets. That's what they know. They don't have any other choice. And so if we can educate, or just one person trying to just do a part and to play in their life, I think we could turn it around. And I believe, like Nate, I think it's just educating and directing people where can they go to help. There's so many independent living agencies out there that's working with these kids. It's just figuring out how do we get the information to people. These are ways that you can help XYZ. It's so simple, but yet it's the hardest thing ever to try to communicate that.
Well, and I think, when I'm going to networking events and I'm trying to convince folks that, hey, they should be supporting foster and adoptive families, not a lot, but sometimes I will say that I do get some business folks that are just kind of give me the impression that maybe this just isn't their thing, that they're more into, they're interested in something else, or they're not really. And I always tell them, I'm like, look, you can avoid the issue right now if you want to, and you don't have to get into it with your time or your money or anything like that, and just pretend like there's no issue here. Or later on down the road, just realize that the children that are struggling and going through a rough time in the system now are eventually going to grow up and they're going to be taking care of you, only they haven't been shown how to do that. And so they're going to be a drain on the system and our tax dollars and everything. And I'm like,
yes.
If you want to look at it just purely from money, money, Mr. Businessman, eventually they are going to affect you and you are going to have to pay attention to them.
Yes, I keep saying that, these kids are our future. And if we don't take time to invest in them now, we can't complain what happens years later,
Absolutely. So if we have some folks here, I'm going to have us start wrapping up here. If we have some parents that are watching right now and they're maybe they have a 17-year-old in their home, and that's going to be aging out, and what do they need to think about doing?
Take some time and really talk to their kids and kind of have a game plan. Don't wait on the agencies to kind of say, hey, I'm coming, let me help you. Start you can do it. You can start teaching them just the basics, you know, teach them how to budget, because the most important thing, it's a very important thing for them is to get a job. Like, what is it like to, you know, have a resume? What's it like to go on an interview? How do you even dress for an interview? It's those basic things that you don't even think about, but it's a very important piece in their development, you know, in their life, in their future. And just start talking about, what if you were 18 and needed X, Y, Z? Start those conversations, because, you know, they're going to be 18 and then they're going to be facing the reality. And so I think it's very important to do this, have discussion now.
Would it have helped you too if you would have known that you could have come back to crack? Like, if you fell flat on your face, would it have helped you if you knew that there was a family that said, "Hey, if you fall flat on your face, you can come back here and we'll help you pick the pieces up." And you're not, obviously it's not saying, "Hey, we're going to take care of you for the rest of your life," but you know what I mean? Like, we're here for you to come back and to regroup.
Absolutely. But I think kids need to try. I don't think you need to feed the kids, like, give them what they need. They need to go out, try it, and fail. Because I did it, but that's how you end up picking yourself back up and moving forward. And so, knowing if I had that in my back pocket, I would have still continued to do what I needed to do, but it would have just, you know, had that comfort level, knowing that it was going to be okay regardless. And sometimes you just need people to encourage you. I mean, I didn't have that encouragement, and luckily, again, I'm one of the few that kind of succeeded. But what about those 23,000 that don't? And
Right.
so it's just kind of helping get them on their feet and let them fail. I encourage that, because they need to know what it feels like and to be able to get back up and fight for their life.
Well, hey, Liz, I'm going to throw up here on the screen. It sounds bad. I'm not going to throw up. I'm going to put up here on the screen image of Amazon, and there's an image of your paperback for sale.
Yes.
Fantastic. And it says, "No Ordinary Liz, an extraordinary story of life and family."
Mm-hmm.
So people can order that off Amazon?
You can. It's off Amazon, Barnes & Noble. I am trying to work on an ebook, but there's no due date on that yet. So for now, those are the two places where you can pick up a copy.
Fantastic. And if folks want to ask you questions or get in touch with you, what's an easy way for them to get in touch with you and pick your brain?
Oh, they can email me. I would welcome any conversations. This is my interest, so my phone number, I can, give you the number, the contact info for you to share.
Okay. So I'll grab that information from you later, and we'll make that available to people. If you want to, if people want to message into us, I will make sure that you get connected with Liz. If you have any questions, so you can just either email me at Darren that's DARREN at transfiguringadoption.com. And again, this is Liz Sutherland that we're talking with. You can also message the Transfiguring Adoption Facebook page, and we will grab that and we'll make sure that we get you contact information to be able to talk with Liz.
Yes, and I welcome any conversation. If you have a child that's about to age out and you feel like, they could benefit from connecting with me, I'm more than happy to take the time to connect with them and kind of, just be there for them. And one thing that I do want to say is, if you can only give one thing to a child in need, a child in the system, a child who is scared, give them this: hope. Because I held on to my hope in the darkest of days, and it guided me toward the light like a balloon on a string. If you give children hope, they will change the world.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Liz. Is there anything that you want to tell our folks? I know you had that quote, one last quote. Is there anything else that you want to let folks know before I let you go? Anything I didn't cover?
No, just thank you so much for your time, and invite me into your homes this evening and just let me share my story. And I hope that we can all come together and change a child's life in the foster care system together.
Thank you so much. I will let everyone know that, again, this just an update on Transfiguring Adoption news. If you are following us on our website, Transfiguring Adoption is holding its 3rd annual Best Foster Parent Award, also called the Hannah Eimers Award. And we're accepting nominations for that all through the month of May. And we do that during National Foster Care Month in order to promote those foster parents that are parenting differently and therapeutically, and helping children that are going through difficult situations and trying to help them and prepare them for the real world, or prepare them for what might lie ahead, hopefully going back to their birth home. So if you guys want to head over to our website, it's transfiguringadoption.com/best foster parent. And you can nominate someone to win that award. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching amidst our technical difficulties and such. I'm going to convene with our executive director, also my wife, to see what we should do as far as caregiver check-ins in the future, if we're going to continue using YouTube or if we're going to go back to Facebook. So we will put out an announcement and on Facebook, as always, to keep you guys in the know. If you guys have any suggestions of what we need to talk about next week, drop me a message on Facebook or email me, again, at darren@transfiguringadoption.com. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. We thank you to our special guest, and we hope that we are helping you to nurture and grow your foster or adoptive family. Good night, everyone.
Good night.